Today, we are uncovering the 9 Australian crisp brands that are quietly ripping off loyal consumers with shrunken bags, rancid oils, and flavour so watered down it is basically an insult to the potato. Customers across the country have noticed, and they are absolutely furious. Stay with me to the very end, because after we expose the worst offenders sitting in your pantry right now, I will reveal the handful of Australian crisps that are still made with some actual respect for your money and your taste buds. There is a particular kind of betrayal that only happens with food. It is not dramatic. It is quiet, sneaky, calculated. You reach for a familiar bag of your favorite chips on a Friday night, tear it open, and something feels wrong. The bag is massive, but inside, there are barely 20 chips rattling around in a sea of air. You bite into one and it tastes thin, greasy in the wrong way. The flavor hits for half a second and then completely disappears. And you think, am I imagining this? You are not imagining it. Over the last decade, the Australian snack food industry has undergone a quiet, highly profitable transformation. Under pressure from massive corporate shareholders, manufacturing teams were quietly told to find savings. They found those savings inside your bag of chips. Bags got lighter while prices went up, a pattern the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has formally flagged as a serious consumer concern. Cheap sunflower and canola oils replaced higher quality frying oils, leaving behind that strange, slightly rancid greasiness that lingers on your fingers. Flavor intensity was dialed back because real flavor ingredients are expensive, so they replaced them with cheaper chemical flavor enhancers. But the packaging stayed exactly the same nostalgic logo, the same vibrant colors, the same cheerful promise of a great Australian snack. They are counting on your brand loyalty to stop you from reading the back of the bag. Today, we are reading it for you. Let us pull back the curtain on the 9 Australian crisps that are a total disgrace. Number 1, Thins Chips. If you grew up in Australia, Thins were an absolute lunchbox staple. The light and tangy flavour, the sour cream and onion, the original. They were thin, crispy, and deeply satisfying. You can still find them on every Coles and Woolworths shelf, and parents still throw them in the trolley on autopilot. But something has gone seriously wrong with this product. Real Australian customers on ProductReview have been sounding the alarm for years now, and the reviews are genuinely shocking. One customer described opening pack after pack, only to find chips that smell old, with potatoes that look and taste rancid, stating she spent over $100 on Thins in a single year and threw almost every bag straight in the bin. Another reviewer said the chips now look soaked in oil and left in the sun to go hard, while the flavor has completely vanished. A third customer bought multiple packs thinking she had received a bad batch, only to discover they had permanently changed the recipe. Her words, threw out 3 packs. And here is the part that makes this even worse. Thins also quietly hit consumers with a wave of shrinkflation. Customers caught the company reducing bag weights while keeping the price identical, meaning you are paying the same or more for noticeably less product. ProductReview currently gives Thins a rating of just 1.6 out of 5 stars, placing it firmly at the bottom of the Australian chip market. So why is this a problem for a brand with decades of loyalty behind it? Because they have spent 30 years building trust in Australian households, and they are now quietly trading on that nostalgia while delivering a product that loyal customers describe as rancid, stale, and unrecognizable. The familiar logo promises the same great Thins taste your family has always loved, but the product review verdict says chips that smell rancid, taste of stale oil, and have been silently shrunk to maximize corporate profit. And if you thought a nostalgic Aussie icon was safe, number 2 is going to absolutely devastate your childhood memories. Number 2, Samboy chips. Samboy is the ultimate Australian chip nostalgia trip. The intense, face-puckering barbecue and salt and vinegar flavours are the stuff of Australian schoolyard legend. The famous catchphrase, the bold, retro branding. Australians in their 30s and 40s have an almost emotional connection to this brand, but customers who have gone back to Samboy recently are experiencing something deeply unsettling. Across Reddit and consumer feedback platforms, the pattern is incredibly consistent. One frustrated Aussie described the salt and vinegar variety perfectly. A pack of these used to be so intense that they would leave your gums sore for days, but now they seem much milder. Another shopper explained the full history of the decline. The brand reduced its flavour intensity by what they described as roughly 50%, briefly tried a double flavour packet to win back customers, and then discontinued it, leaving the standard Samboy as a pale imitation of its former self. A third reviewer noted, "Sadly, the barbecue chips seem to be in the same situation. I always thought they were the best chips around. What does this actually mean for your bag of chips? It means Samboy has used your nostalgia as a financial weapon. They know you will see the logo and feel a rush of Australian memory. They are counting on that emotional reflex to stop you from noticing that the actual product no longer delivers on its core promise of intense, explosive flavour. The retro branding promises the legendary, intense Australian flavour experience, but the current bag delivers a mild, forgettable shadow of the original that relies entirely on nostalgia to justify its shelf space, because what you are about to hear changes the way you look at so-called premium chip brands forever. Number 3. Red Rock Deli chips. Red Rock Deli positioned itself as the upmarket, premium alternative to standard supermarket chips. They were priced higher. They came in sophisticated flavors, and the packaging was designed to look artisan and gourmet. Australians paid the premium willingly, assuming they were getting a genuinely superior product. But something changed significantly in the last 2 years, and customers have caught it in precise, forensic detail. On Reddit, a thread titled simply "Red Rock Deli Chips Are Crap Now" went massively viral, filled with furious customers who had independently noticed the exact same thing. One customer tracked the original ingredients list against the updated version and posted the comparison publicly. The original was potatoes, sunflower oil, salt. The updated version added canola oil with a string of chemical antioxidants including tocopherols, ascorbic acid, rosemary extract, and citric acid. Why do you need synthetic antioxidants in a bag of chips? Because when you use cheaper, more unstable oils, they oxidize and go rancid faster. You need the antioxidants to mask and slow the degradation of the cheaper oil. And the price. While the product got worse, the price went from $4 to $6 per bag. Another customer noted the chips have become incredibly thin and light lately, and it is shocking how much their quality has diminished. Choice Australia's own research confirmed Red Rock Deli was caught in the wider shrinkflation wave, with their dip range silently reduced in size while prices remained identical. Worst of all, one reviewer pointed out that the brand's website was still displaying the old ingredient list even after the formula had been physically changed. The premium price tag promises artisan quality, gourmet deli crisps made with simple, high-quality ingredients. But the updated formula reveals a significantly diluted product with cheaper oil blends, chemical antioxidants, and aggressive shrinkflation hidden behind upscale packaging. And if you think a brand calling itself natural is telling you the truth, number 4 is a massive wake-up call. Number 4. The Natural Chip Company. The Natural Chip Company is specifically designed to make you feel like you are making a responsible, healthy, wholesome choice. The name does most of the heavy lifting. Natural. The packaging is earthy and clean. You pay extra for it at the deli and the health food aisle. But customers who have trusted this premium branding are getting burned. On product review, the feedback is stark and alarming. One customer described the product directly. The oil on the chips had gone rancid and had an old, stale oil taste. She bought them in February with a June expiry date, meaning they had gone rancid months before they were supposed to. Another reviewer was even more brutal. These chips are now on the same level as generic Coles and Woolies home brand. Not acceptable, pretty insulting to their consumers, assuming we want poor quality chips. But the most extraordinary review described opening the bag, taking a few chips, finding them so greasy and laden with fat that the family threw the entire contents into the fireplace. Their words. They kept the fire going for hours, did not have to add wood. That is a genuinely breathtaking indictment of a product sold under the word natural. Why is this so specifically enraging? Because the premium price is explicitly justified by the promise of higher quality, natural ingredients, and production standards. If the oil is going rancid before the expiry date on a natural product, shoppers have every right to ask serious questions about production batches, storage conditions, and ingredient sourcing. The natural branding promises wholesome, high-quality crisps made with care for the health-conscious Australian. But the product delivers chips soaked in rancid oil that customers are literally using as firelighters, because the next brand proves that global corporate ownership always comes at a cost to quality. Number 5. Smith's Crinkle Cut Chips. Smith's is arguably the most iconic chip brand in Australian history. The Crinkle Cut in particular is the ultimate party chip. The thick ridges, the bold yellow and red bag. If there is a barbecue, a birthday party, or a footy final anywhere in Australia, there is almost certainly a bowl of Smith's Crinkle Cut nearby. But Choice Australia's own research formally documented what frustrated families had already been noticing for years. Smith's potato crisps bags quietly shrank from 200 grams to 175 grams, a loss of 25 grams of product with no reduction in price. Their Crinkle Cut range was then reduced further, going from 175 grams down to 170 grams, shaving off roughly 3 full chips per bag. When Choice confronted the company, they received no meaningful response. But the shrinkflation is only half the story. Look at the frying oil. Smith's uses sunflower oil in their frying process, an oil that sits comfortably in the highly processed omega-6 seed oil category. And multiple Australian food reviewers and Reddit threads have documented a growing concern that recent batches of Smith's have a slightly off, greasy, almost stale flavour immediately upon opening the bag. If this is Australia's most trusted chip brand, why does it quietly shrink the product while simultaneously degrading the oil quality? Because the brand has been globally owned by PepsiCo for decades, and PepsiCo's primary obligation is to its shareholders, not to Australian consumers who grew up with the product. The nostalgic red and yellow bag promises Australia's favourite chip, with that same great crinkle cut crunch, but the scales say a progressively smaller bag of chips fried in industrial seed oil, where the portions quietly shrink every few years. And if you thought a European import would have higher standards, number 6 takes it even further. Number 6, Pringles. Pringles are sold in virtually every petrol station, supermarket and convenience store across Australia. The iconic tube, the impossible stacking, the bright mascot. Australians buy them assuming they are buying a potato chip. But here is the part that genuinely shocks most people. Pringles are not a potato chip. They are legally not even allowed to be called a potato chip in several countries. When analysed by nutritional scientists, the product contains only approximately 42% actual potato. The remainder is a highly processed blend of rice flour, wheat starch, corn flour, and vegetable oils, all mixed together into a paste, force-pressed into a perfect uniform shape, and then flash-fried. This highly engineered process removes essentially all of the natural fiber and nutritional value of the original potato while concentrating the calories. But what does it actually taste like? Pringles are specifically engineered to hit what food scientists call the bliss point, a precise, calculated calibration of salt, fat, and flavor enhancers that makes it physically very difficult to eat just one. The uniform size, the identical crunch, the perfectly consistent flavor hit are not accidents of great cooking. They are the output of a laboratory. Furthermore, Pringles' flavoring system relies heavily on flavor enhancers, including disodium inosinate and disodium guanylate, synthetic compounds that amplify the perception of taste in ways that natural food cannot match. And the packaging. The famous tube recently had its small plastic lid quietly removed in Australia, replaced with a foil seal, in what critics point out raises serious questions about freshness protection for a product that sells in a tropical climate. The cheerful mascot promises once you pop, you cannot stop, a fun, tasty potato snack. But the ingredient label reveals a laboratory-engineered reconstituted paste made of barely 42% actual potato, packed with synthetic flavor amplifiers. Because the next brand proves that healthy-looking packaging is one of the oldest tricks in the book. Number 7. Grain waves. Grain waves are aggressively marketed to health-conscious Australian families as the smart, wholesome alternative to regular chips. The name alone implies natural goodness. Grain, waves, parents throw them in lunchboxes feeling genuinely virtuous. But let us look closely at the ingredient panel of the flavored varieties. The sweet chili variety alone contains 25 separate ingredients. That list includes multiple chemical flavor enhancers with additive numbers 621, 627, and 631, as well as maltodextrin, multiple food acids, artificial colors, and hydrolyzed vegetable protein, which is essentially a flavor-enhancing chemical compound made by breaking down plant proteins with strong acid. So why is this a problem for a snack called grain waves? Because parents are specifically choosing this product to avoid the synthetic chemicals found in standard chips. The word whole grain on the front does critical marketing work. But the back label quietly lists a chemical cocktail that is arguably just as processed as any standard supermarket crisp. Foodwatch, a respected independent Australian nutrition research organisation, noted that while grain waves do offer some genuine whole grain content, they still leave an oily film inside the bag and contain multiple additives that undermine their healthy credentials. The healthy-looking label suggests a wholesome, better-for-you snack packed with real Australian grains. But the back panel reveals a 25-ingredient product built on seed oils, chemical flavor enhancers, and synthetic food acids hiding behind the word wholesome. And if you thought a deli-style brand would be more transparent, number 8 is going to make you check your pantry right now. Number 8. Doritos. Doritos are one of the most universally beloved snack foods in the world, and Australians absolutely devour them. Nacho cheese, cool original, Mexicana. They are a permanent fixture at every Woolworths and Coles party snacks aisle. But look closely at the ingredient list, and you will find a product that raises serious and recurring questions in the nutrition community. The second ingredient in Doritos is vegetable oil, primarily sunflower and canola oil, both firmly in the highly processed omega-6 seed oil category. These are the same industrial oils that critics and nutrition researchers increasingly flag as being connected to inflammatory dietary patterns when consumed in high quantities. Beyond the oils, Doritos contain a long list of synthetic flavor enhancers specifically engineered to overwhelm the palate and suppress the brain's normal signal that says it has had enough. This is not an accident. It is a highly intentional design feature of the product. Furthermore, independent analysis of the cheese flavoring component reveals it contains very little actual dairy cheese. The intense cheese hit comes primarily from synthetic flavor chemistry. If this is a corn chip with cheese flavor, why does actual cheese make up such a tiny fraction of the ingredient list? Because real cheese is expensive, and synthetic cheese flavoring chemistry costs a fraction of the price. The bold orange bag suggests an irresistible, cheesy, full-flavor snacking experience. But the chemistry behind it is a heavily engineered combination of industrial seed oils and synthetic flavor amplifiers, scientifically designed to override your natural sense of satisfaction. And finally, the brand that has turned Australian consumers into outright detectives. Number 9. Woolworths and Coles home brand crisps. Australia's two biggest supermarkets have aggressively expanded their home brand crisp ranges over the last 5 years. Their standard generic chip lines offer massive bags at prices that genuinely undercut every brand name competitor on the shelf. Budget-conscious families buy them by the dozen. But the home brand crisp category is where cost-cutting reaches its most extreme and transparent level. Multiple independent reviewers and consumer threads have confirmed that the Coles and Woolworths generic chip lines rely heavily on cheap palm oil and low-grade sunflower oil blends in their frying process. The result, a harsh, greasy aftertaste that sits in your mouth long after the chip is gone. But the Woolworths home brand story includes another deeply troubling development. Their own original salted corn chips were quietly shrunk from 200 grams to 175 grams, a reduction of 12.5%, while the shelf price remained completely unchanged at $2.30. This was formally documented by Choice Australia. So why is this a disgrace? Because supermarket home brand products are specifically positioned as the honest, no-frills, value option for Australians struggling with the cost of living. If even the budget option is silently shrinking while the price holds, where exactly are consumers supposed to turn? The budget shelf label promises great value, everyday snacking for the whole family. But the scales and the ingredient panel confirm a product fried in cheap palm oil, quietly shrunk in size, and relying on your financial pressure to guarantee your loyalty. Do you see the massive glaring pattern that is running through every single one of these brands? This is not 9 separate isolated stories. This is one story told 9 different ways. The Australian snack food industry is systematically, deliberately degrading the products you grew up trusting. They are swapping quality frying oils for cheap industrial seed oils and palm oil. They are replacing real flavor intensity with cheaper synthetic chemical amplifiers. They are silently shrinking your bags while the price stays identical or quietly creeps up. And they are using the word natural and pictures of rolling green hills to stop you from reading the ingredient list. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has formally identified this as a consumer harm issue. The federal government launched a public consultation in 2025, specifically trying to crack down on shrinkflation. Choice Australia has independently documented multiple brands in this very list. This is a systemic, industry-wide problem. And it is getting worse, not better. But you do not have to simply accept this. Now let us talk about the Australian options that are actually still worth your time and your money. If you want crisps that respect you as a consumer, the guiding principle is brutally simple. Look for the shortest possible ingredient list. The fewer ingredients, the less opportunity the manufacturer has to hide something cheap inside your bag. Option 1. Kettle brand chips. Kettle is consistently the most recommended alternative across consumer reviews, Reddit threads, and independent food blogs. Their sea salt variety contains exactly 3 ingredients: potatoes, sunflower oil, sea salt. That is it. No chemical antioxidants to mask rancid oil. No flavor enhancers to compensate for bland potatoes. Kettle also maintained a more generous bag weight compared to competitors during the height of the shrinkflation wave. They are more expensive, But when you get a full, honest bag of chips made from real potatoes in quality oil, you understand immediately where the money goes. Option 2. Piranha chips. Piranha is a smaller, independent Australian brand that deserves enormous credit for resisting the race to the bottom. Their chips are cooked in high oleic sunflower oil, a significantly more stable oil variety that does not go rancid quickly and does not leave that harsh, synthetic aftertaste. The flavour range is genuinely intense and built from real spice and herb ingredients rather than chemical flavour masking. You will mostly find them in independent delis, IGA stores, and specialty food retailers. They are slightly harder to find, but they are worth the hunt. Option 3. Cobb's popcorn. If you are genuinely trying to exit the seed oil trap entirely, Cobb's is the smartest swap in the snack aisle. Their natural range is air-popped, meaning it contains zero frying oil whatsoever. The ingredient list for their natural sea salt variety is popcorn and sea salt. That is all. They are widely available in Woolworths and Coles, they are competitively priced, and they deliver a satisfying crunch without the industrial oil aftertaste that plagues most of the brands on today's list. Option 4. Harvest Snaps. If you are specifically buying grain waves for the wholesome branding, consider switching to Harvest Snaps instead. Their original baked green pea snacks are made from green peas, rice and canola oil, a dramatically simpler formula than the 25-ingredient grain waves. They are baked rather than fried, and they are available in major supermarkets at a competitive price point. They are not a perfect food, but they are a dramatically more transparent product than most of the alternatives in the same health snack aisle. Australian snack culture has drifted dangerously, almost completely away from honest food. We used to buy a bag of crisps and get a bag of crisps. Now, we buy an engineered chemical experience in a bag that is quietly getting smaller every year while the price stays the same. We are paying loyalty taxes to brands that are quietly downgrading the products we trusted, but you do not have to keep paying for that betrayal. Flip the bag over, read the ingredient list, count the numbers. If there are more than 5 or 6 ingredients and you cannot pronounce 3 of them, put it back. Support the smaller brands doing it honestly, and stop rewarding the giants who are betting on your nostalgia being stronger than your common sense. If this video opened your eyes to the disgraceful decline of Australian crisps, tap the like button so more Aussies can stop paying premium prices for inferior products. If you want to stay one step ahead of the snack food industry and protect your family from deliberate shrinkflation and ingredient downgrades, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we are just getting started. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Which brand on this list shocked you the most today? Have you ever opened a bag and thrown the whole lot straight in the bin? Let me know your story below.